Welcome back to the Terrace of Abundance. The fountain is already flowing this morning. Sunlight catches the water as it rises and falls, scattering tiny fragments of gold across the marble. Nearby, beneath the wisteria, the bowl rests quietly. But before we sit beside either of them, I want to tell you a story about two women, and two very different ways of understanding abundance. There was once a woman who trusted deeply. She believed life was generous. She believed opportunities could appear unexpectedly, that the right people sometimes arrived at precisely the right moment, and that when the heart remained open, pathways could emerge that the rational mind had never imagined. And she had experienced this again and again. Something had appeared just when she needed it. A conversation, an idea, an unexpected opportunity, a door she could never have forced open herself. Life seemed to whisper, "Trust me." And so she did. But gradually, almost imperceptibly, trust began replacing something it had never been intended to replace: stewardship. The bills on her desk remained unopened a little longer. Decisions that made her uncomfortable were postponed. Boundaries that needed to be established were avoided. When concern arose, she reassured herself, "Something will work out. There is enough. I trust." And the words were sincere. Her faith was real, but so were the unopened envelopes. Across town lived another woman. She believed in abundance too, but she approached it very differently. She had budgets, plans, calendars, projections. She knew what was coming in and what was going out. She knew what needed attention next week, next month, and next quarter. She had built systems that helped her make thoughtful decisions. And for a long time, those systems gave her freedom. But gradually, almost imperceptibly, responsibility began changing too. It hardened into control. An unexpected expense could disturb her for hours. A new opportunity immediately produced a list of everything that might go wrong. Rest began to feel irresponsible. Even good news could trigger another round of planning. One evening, long after the sun had disappeared, she sat at her immaculate desk looking at columns of perfectly reconciled numbers. Everything was in order, and she was exhausted. She looked around at the systems she had so carefully constructed and realized something that surprised her. She had built them to give herself freedom, and somehow had become afraid to move inside them. One woman trusted the universe, but had begun ignoring the details. The other managed every detail, but had forgotten how to trust. Neither woman was wrong. Each possessed something valuable. But each was carrying half of something that had always been meant to become whole. And so, come with me to the terrace. Imagine them arriving here one quiet afternoon. The first woman notices the fountain immediately. Of course she does. Water rises freely into the sunlight. Nothing seems to hold it back. It sparkles and moves and falls with effortless grace. She smiles. Yes, she thinks, this is abundance. The other woman notices something different. She sees the stone, the basin, the channels, the careful architecture beneath the water. She notices every beautiful movement has somewhere to go. She smiles too. Yes, she thinks, this is abundance. Eventually the two women find themselves sitting opposite one another, one beside the fountain, the other beside the bowl. For a while neither speaks. The fountain continues flowing between them. Finally, the first woman looks at the other and says, I think I have spent so much time trusting that something would arrive that I forgot I was responsible for preparing a place for it. The other woman smiles. I think I have spent so much time preparing the place that I forgot I was allowed to trust that something might arrive. They laughed, not because either problem is particularly funny, but because sometimes recognition brings its own kind of relief. The first woman looks toward the fountain. You don't have to control everything before you can believe something good is coming. The second looks toward the bowl, and you don't have to stop believing in order to prepare a place for it when it arrives. Then they become quiet again. And this time there is nothing more to explain. The fountain flows. The bowl receives. The terrace holds them both. Two women sit side by side now, looking toward the horizon. Neither has abandoned what she knows. The woman who trusts has not lost her faith. The woman who plans has not thrown away her spreadsheets. Perhaps each has loosened her grip on the half she was carrying, just enough to make room for the other half. And somewhere between the fountain and the vessel, something that had appeared divided begins to become whole. We will return here on Tuesday, not to explain the story, but to listen for what it may have been whispering to us. Until then, perhaps simply notice, where in your own life are you standing closest to the fountain, and where might a bowl be waiting?